Opening. The perfect couple's perfect evening. My cousin Jennifer's engagement party was being held at the elegant Meridian Hotel ballroom, where crystal chandeliers cast warm light over tables filled with successful professionals celebrating the union of two accomplished young people. Jennifer, a marketing director at a Fortune 500 company, was marrying Ryan, who'd recently launched his own tech startup after graduating from Stanford's MBA program. I sat at a table near the back of the room, watching the festivities while nursing my sparkling water and trying to remain invisible. At 32, I was the family member who'd never quite figured out how to be impressive at these kinds of gatherings. The one whose career choices baffled relatives and prompted concerned conversations about my future prospects. "Let's go around the table and everyone can share what they do," suggested Aunt Patricia, clearly enjoying her role as social coordinator for our family table. I love hearing about everyone's careers. The introductions began with predictable success stories. Cousin Mark described his promotion to senior manager at his accounting firm. Cousin Lisa explained her work as a hospital administrator. Even my younger cousin Tom, fresh out of college, impressed everyone with his entry-level position at a prestigious consulting company. Then the attention turned to me. "Maya works with computers," my Uncle Robert announced before I could speak for myself, his tone carrying the particular mixture of confusion and dismissive affection reserved for family members whose jobs defied easy categorization. "Something technical. Very specialized." "Oh, how cute!" Aunt Patricia exclaimed with the enthusiasm typically reserved for children's hobbies. "Are you in IT support? My company is always looking for good computer people." Before I could explain what I actually did, Uncle Robert continued his interpretation of my career. "Playing with computers," he laughed, apparently finding great humor in my life choices. "Maya's always been our little tech genius. Still trying to figure out how to make money at it, though." The casual dismissal stung, but I'd grown accustomed to my family's inability to understand or value work that didn't fit their conventional definitions of success. They knew I worked in technology, lived in a modest apartment, and hadn't followed the traditional path of corporate employment that marked achievement in their worldview. What they didn't know was that my computer playing had resulted in developing a revolutionary machine learning algorithm for predictive healthcare analytics. What they really didn't know was that I'd just finished negotiating a patent licensing deal that would fundamentally change my financial situation. But explaining machine learning and predictive analytics to my family was like describing quantum physics to people who struggled with basic algebra. They heard computers and automatically categorized my work as an extended version of tech support. "Maya's always been so smart with technology," Mom added with forced enthusiasm, trying to find something positive to say about her daughter's unconventional career. "She can fix anyone's computer problems." Computer problems. As if my PhD in computer science from MIT and my research into artificial intelligence applications for medical diagnosis was equivalent to troubleshooting email issues and printer connectivity. Jennifer approached our table with Ryan in tow, both glowing with the confidence of people whose life choices had been universally celebrated and validated. "Ryan, you should meet my cousin Maya," Jennifer said with genuine warmth. "She works in tech too. Maybe you two can talk shop." Ryan extended his hand with the polite interest of someone meeting a distant relative. "Nice to meet you, Maya. What area of tech are you in?" "Machine learning research," I said simply, having learned that detailed explanations only led to glazed expressions and quick subject changes. "That's cool," Ryan replied with the non-committal enthusiasm people use when they don't really understand what you've said. "I'm working on a fintech startup. We're disrupting traditional banking with mobile-first financial services." Uncle Robert clapped Ryan on the shoulder with obvious approval. "Now that's entrepreneurship. Building a real business, creating jobs, solving problems people actually have. That's how you make a mark in the world." The contrast was clear. Ryan was building a real business, while I was still playing with computers, in ways that didn't translate into obvious commercial success or social recognition. "Maya's work is very academic," Mom explained to Ryan, her tone suggesting this was both an excuse and a limitation. "She's more interested in research than practical applications." Academic. Research. As if developing algorithms that could predict cardiac events 3 days before traditional diagnostic methods was somehow less practical than another mobile banking app in an already crowded market. Build up. Escalating dismissal. The engagement party continued with toasts celebrating Jennifer and Ryan's bright future, their successful careers, and their obvious compatibility as an ambitious power couple destined for great things. I listened to speech after speech about achievement, determination, and the rewards of following practical paths to success. Ryan's startup has already attracted significant investor interest, Uncle Robert announced during dinner, clearly relishing the opportunity to brag about our family's newest entrepreneur. Series of funding round projected for next quarter. That's how you build real wealth, identifying market opportunities and executing business plans. The table nodded appreciatively as Ryan described his company's growth projections, user acquisition strategies, and revenue models. This was the kind of business discussion my family understood and celebrated. Concrete numbers, clear market applications, traditional metrics of commercial success. Maya, you should consider joining a startup like Ryan's, Aunt Patricia suggested with helpful enthusiasm. You could use your computer skills in a business environment. Much more practical than academic research. That's actually not a bad idea, Ryan added, warming to the topic. We're always looking for technical talent. Maya, if you're interested in applying your skills to real-world problems, I'd be happy to discuss opportunities with our development team. The offer was meant kindly, but it highlighted the massive gap between my family's perception of my capabilities and the reality of what I'd actually accomplished. Ryan was essentially offering me an entry-level developer position at his unproven startup while I was completing negotiations on patent licensing deals worth hundreds of millions of dollars. I appreciate the thought, I said carefully, but I'm committed to my current research projects. Of course, research is important, Uncle Robert said with the patronizing tone adults use when discussing children's career aspirations. But at some point you need to think about practical considerations. Health insurance, retirement savings, financial security. Academic research doesn't provide those kinds of benefits. Financial security. My patent licensing agreements would generate passive income for the next 20 years that exceeded most people's lifetime earnings, but explaining that would require my family to understand intellectual property law, technology licensing, and the commercial value of algorithmic innovations. The tech industry moves so fast, Ryan observed with the confidence of someone who'd recently completed an MBA program. Academic research often lags behind market needs. In startups, we're solving problems in real time, adapting quickly to user feedback and market demands. Market demands. As if the global healthcare industry's desperate need for predictive analytics tools represented some kind of academic abstraction rather than a multi-billion-dollar market opportunity. My phone buzzed with a text from my patent attorney. Final documentation complete. Press release scheduled for 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Congratulations on the largest healthcare AI patent licensing deal in history. The largest healthcare AI patent licensing deal in history. While my family discussed the importance of practical career choices and real-world business applications. Maya's always been more of a behind-the-scenes person, Jennifer said with affectionate condescension. Some people are builders, some people are supporters. Both roles are important. Behind the scenes. Supporters. As if developing breakthrough technology that would save thousands of lives annually was somehow a supporting role in the global healthcare ecosystem. The key is finding your niche and maximizing your potential within realistic parameters, Ryan added, clearly enjoying his role as successful entrepreneur mentoring a struggling relative. Not everyone can be a business leader, but technical skills are valuable in the right context. Not everyone can be a business leader. While I sat quietly managing patent portfolios worth more than his entire startup's projected valuation. My phone buzzed again with another message from my attorney. Media interviews scheduled with TechCrunch, Wall Street Journal, and Forbes. Stock price movements expected across healthcare sector when announcement hits. Stock price movements across the healthcare sector. Because my academic research was apparently significant enough to affect public markets and major financial publications. Revelation. When innovation makes headlines. At exactly 8 p.m., my phone lit up with news alerts as major technology and healthcare publications simultaneously announced the patent licensing deal I'd been negotiating for 8 months. The timing was perfect, right in the middle of Jennifer's engagement party speeches about success and achievement. I glanced at the breaking news notifications flooding my phone. MIT researchers' AI patent sells for record $500 million, healthcare analytics breakthrough licenses to major pharmaceutical companies. Machine learning algorithm could revolutionize cardiac care. $500 million. For the computer playing my family had been encouraging me to abandon in favor of practical career choices. Maya, are you paying attention? Uncle Robert asked with mild irritation as he noticed me checking my phone during Ryan's speech about entrepreneurship and market disruption. Sorry, I said, setting my phone aside as Ryan continued describing his startup's potential to transform financial services through innovative technology solutions. But my phone kept buzzing with increasingly urgent messages from reporters, colleagues, and industry contacts who'd seen the patent announcement. The vibrations were becoming impossible to ignore. Maya, seriously, Aunt Patricia whispered, it's rude to be on your phone during Ryan's speech. That's when the breaking news alert from CNN appeared on my phone screen, bright enough for people at neighboring tables to notice. Breaking. $500 million patent sale represents largest healthcare AI deal in history. The guest at the table behind me, a healthcare industry executive, noticed the headline and turned around with sudden interest. Excuse me, she said quietly, but did your phone just show news about a $500 million healthcare AI patent sale? Before I could respond, she was reading the full headline aloud. MIT researcher Dr. Maya Chen's predictive cardiac algorithm licensed to Global Pharmaceutical Consortium for record $500 million. The table fell completely silent. Dr. Maya Chen, the healthcare executive repeated thoughtfully. Are you Dr. Maya Chen from MIT's AI Research Lab? Every conversation around us began to die down as people turned to witness this unexpected development. Yes, I said simply, watching my family's expressions shift from confusion to something approaching shock. Oh my God, the healthcare executive exclaimed, her voice carrying across multiple tables. You developed the predictive cardiac algorithm. That technology is going to save thousands of lives. This is the largest AI patent licensing deal in medical history. Ryan had stopped his speech entirely, along with every other conversation in our section of the ballroom. Uncle Robert was staring at me with an expression I'd never seen before, complete bewilderment mixed with dawning recognition that his assumptions about my computer playing had been spectacularly wrong. Maya, Jennifer said slowly, what is she talking about? Before I could answer, my phone rang with a call from the Wall Street Journal technology reporter who'd been covering the patent story. Dr. Chen, congratulations on the historic patent licensing agreement, the reporter said when I answered, her voice clear enough for nearby tables to hear. Can you comment on how your predictive healthcare algorithm will be implemented across the Pharmaceutical Consortium's research programs? I appreciate the call, I said, trying to maintain professional composure while my family stared at me in stunned silence. But I'm at a family event. Could we schedule an interview for tomorrow? Of course, but one quick question. This $500 million deal represents the largest healthcare AI patent licensing agreement ever recorded. How does it feel to have developed technology that will fundamentally change cardiac care prediction? $500 million. Largest healthcare AI patent licensing agreement ever recorded. Fundamentally change cardiac care. The words hung in the air like bombs exploding across my family's understanding of my life and career. Resolution. Recognition and recalibration. As I ended the call with the Wall Street Journal reporter, the engagement party had effectively transformed into an impromptu discussion of healthcare AI technology and patent licensing deals. Guests who'd been celebrating Jennifer and Ryan's future were now asking questions about machine learning algorithms and predictive medical analytics. Maya, Ryan said, his voice barely above a whisper, you developed a technology that sold for $500 million? I developed a machine learning algorithm that can predict cardiac events up to 72 hours before traditional diagnostic methods, I replied. The patent licensing deal allows pharmaceutical companies to integrate the technology into their research and clinical applications. Uncle Robert was frantically searching his phone for news articles about the patent sale. MIT researcher. $500 million. Largest healthcare AI deal in history. Maya, there are dozens of articles about you. The predictive cardiac algorithm, the healthcare executive behind me continued, clearly excited to discuss the technology, has been the holy grail of cardiovascular research for decades. Dr. Chen's breakthrough could prevent millions of heart attacks through early intervention. Jennifer was reading news coverage on her phone, her engagement party temporarily forgotten as she processed the revelation that her computer-playing cousin had just completed one of the largest technology licensing deals in medical history. This Forbes article says your algorithm has already been tested in clinical trials across 12 major hospital systems, she said, her voice reflecting growing amazement. Maya, you've been conducting medical research that could save lives? Cardiovascular disease is the leading cause of death globally, I explained. Early prediction allows for preventive interventions that can dramatically improve patient outcomes. Ryan was now reading from his own phone, his earlier confidence about real-world business applications clearly shaken. TechCrunch is calling this the most significant healthcare AI breakthrough of the decade. Maya, your patent portfolio is being compared to foundational medical technologies. Dr. Chin, another guest, approached from a nearby table. I'm a cardiologist at Presbyterian Hospital. We've been following your research for 2 years. The potential impact of your predictive algorithm on cardiac care is extraordinary. The engagement party conversation had completely shifted from celebrating traditional career achievements to discussing breakthrough medical technology and its implications for global healthcare. My family listened as medical professionals and technology executives explained the significance of work they dismissed as academic computer playing. Maya, Mom said quietly, pulling me aside, when you said you were doing machine learning research, we thought you thought I meant basic computer programming or data entry, I finished. I know what you thought. But $500 million, Aunt Patricia whispered. For technology you developed? For algorithms that took 6 years to develop, involving collaboration with medical researchers, clinical trials and validation across multiple healthcare systems, I corrected. Over the following hour, as news of the patent licensing deal spread through the engagement party and beyond, my family's entire understanding of my career and achievements underwent complete revision. Relatives who'd been offering me entry-level tech support positions were now asking if I needed employees. Ryan, whose startup had been celebrated as the evening's entrepreneurial success story, sheepishly approached to apologize for offering me a developer position. Maya, I owe you a massive apology, he said. When I offered you a job at my startup, I had no idea you'd developed technology worth more than most companies' entire market capitalization. Most people don't understand machine learning research until they see commercial applications, I replied. Healthcare AI is a specialized field. 3 months later, when Jennifer and Ryan's wedding was featured in the society pages, the article mentioned that the bride's cousin was Dr. Maya Chin, whose groundbreaking healthcare AI technology had been acquired for record-breaking licensing deals. Ryan's startup eventually pivoted to focus on healthcare fintech applications, hoping to benefit from association with my work. But the validation that mattered most came from the cardiologists and healthcare professionals who understood the technical complexity and life-saving potential of predictive cardiac algorithms. The recognition I'd been seeking from my family had been there all along in the work itself. In the research conducted, the problems solved, the lives that would be saved through early cardiac intervention. Uncle Robert still talks about entrepreneurship and practical business applications, but he's stopped characterizing my work as playing with computers. He now introduces me as the family's patent licensing expert and asks detailed questions about intellectual property strategy.